Okay, next up, we have Raakhee Miller. Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you doing?
Great. Thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I hear you are going to tell us about how our brands can reach consumers in this new age of e-commerce and crypto. Maybe we're like in a space of Web 2.5.
That's right, Web 2.5. You can't start a new revolution without a new branding, right? Correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, feel free to introduce yourself to the audience, and and the stage is yours.
Great, thank you so much. Hi, Raakhee Miller here, CEO at Mojito, and here to talk to you about how brands are going to onboard the world to Web3. But before we get there, just never mind. A little bit about myself. So I've spent a pretty long career now at the nexus of product, tech, and what's been a progressive democratization of finance, whether it's the rise of the fintechs and sort of the unprecedented retail adoption we've seen over the last 10 years, or the rise of decentralized finance, all on the back of the blockchain technology. And now as a CEO of Mojito, I really couldn't be more excited to be building the picks and shovels of what will be the paradigm shift of our generation, which is Web3. So what is Web3? In the most simplistic terms, Web3 is going to be the internet that is owned by builders and creators. And that is different from Web2, which is different from Web1. And the vision of Web3 is an internet where your wallet is the new authenticator. You authenticate yourself into IRL activities as well as online through your wallet, where crypto is the new money, where NFTs are the new forms of ownership. And I'd love to dig into NFTs a little bit more with you today, where social tokens are the new loyalty points, and where the underlying composability of the entire infrastructure is what can lead to infinite amount of creativity. So NFTs, just JPEG, right? That's what my 10-year-old thinks when I told her what I do for a living now. And she's fascinated, but also, this is a comment that someone like her would make, and a lot of folks as well. So what is the difference between a JPEG and an NFT? The real difference is the verified ownership as well as the provenance of the NFT. There can only be one, and that one can be traced back to its original owner, i.e. the provenance, and it can be tracked all the way through that ownership cycle, which is very unique and novel. Now, what does the value of owning something even mean? What gives it value? So I'd like to do a little thought experiment. Imagine if you were the only person in the world. What would you own? Is it everything? Is it nothing? And it's a difficult question to answer. And the reason you're probably having difficulty with it is what gives something value? And that is the community behind something. Owning something without a community, without the engagement, without the utility is kind of pointless. And that is why the value of NFT ownership really comes from the community around it and the engagement and the story behind that ownership and that provenance. And everything is unleashed through liquid commerce that the blockchain technology offers us through crypto and the entire infrastructure. And if you think about it, what has better community and engagement than brands? So brands really are at the heart of this new revolution. So a little bit of the Web3 market and insights there. It's early, but there's like over 100 million people that use and hold crypto currently. And this number steadily grows every quarter. About 41 billion were spent on NFTs in 2021, when it was the boom period for NFTs, and that was what was traded then. And I know we've been going through a bear market, but even from data that we have, which is as of April this year, NFT sales on OpenSea have gone up by 40%, and this is secondary sales. So the fact that we can have a secondary market on ownership that is so easy and so liquid is really very powerful, and I think brands are well positioned to take advantage of this. But even with this massive adoption, it's still so early. the number of NFT owners is minute. 400,000 wallets or owners own NFTs. That is 0.005% of the population. And if you go around in the US, and this was very interesting, 1 in 4 people, or 1 in 4 Americans could explain to you what an NFT is, which is, it is what it is, but you can see how early we are. But even with all of this, there's so much traction already going on. So, with every new technology, there is always skepticism. Twitter was 140 characters, right? Like, so what? Instagram was about food selfies. The paying online with credit cards when it first started, Airbnb, I'm going to rent out my apartment to a stranger. All of these new technologies always start with a lot of skepticism. But in this bear market, our belief at Mojito is that this is great because the strong will survive this bear market, and they're the ones that will create real value and real utility. With the first wave of NFTs, we saw a lot of focus on digital collectibles, art on chain, PFP projects, and this was a great precursor to what is going on in the second wave, because this paved the way for a lot of very innovative creators in this space that are really creating culture from scratch. And this also brought in some initial brands to co-create with other brands and create really memorable art and PFPs on chain. The second wave of NFTs is all going to be about in-game assets, playable characters, deeds for physical goods, and about the community and membership that you can build around these digital assets and around the fact that engagement equals value, and that is a flywheel that keeps on giving. So last year was interesting. This year's been interesting as well, but amidst all of this chaos, so many brands came into the Web3 space, whether it's Sotheby's, who we work with very closely, who are at the leading edge of a lot of what's going on in the art and auction space, from McDonald's to Mac to Prada to Adidas. All the brands that you know and love are getting into the space. And this is just the tip of the iceberg and just the beginning. What these brands are doing are really their pioneering use cases for consumers. So in the Instagram example, it started off as selfies, but now Instagram has become the most important vehicle for brand awareness and online engagement that brands have at their fingertips. With NFTs, it is the next generation lever that allow brands to connect with their users in a mechanism that allows them to co-create value with the same consumers. So consumers are not just consumers anymore. They are active creators in the value of the brand that they engage with themselves, which is a fascinating concept and something that Web3 unlocks. So what can brands do with NFTs, you might ask? There's been a lot of very interesting projects. For example, creating membership programs that appreciate and value because the community is engaged in it. So for example, Time Magazine released timepieces, and when they were launched, they were worth, I think, 0.01 ETH. And at the time of now us talking about this, it's appreciated 250% in value. And the reason it's appreciated in value is not some, speculative activity, because the NFT gives utility and it gives token gated access to special content, subscriptions to its membership holders. That's what gives it value. And as the members engage more, it gains more in value. And members can then lock in that value by selling it on a secondary market. So speaking of token gated, another use case that we've personally been working on with a wonderful Gen Z brand that has 15 million followers on YouTube. They throw these amazing summer concerts. We're going to be attending one in Chicago this summer. So with them, they came to us with a unique proposition of having a bunch of token owners that are their members, and how could we together create value for these token holders. So in this example, we created a token gated merch shop for this client, and this is an example of how brands can work with their token holders or their members to create unique value, unique access, special access that can then be taken for that member, or it can be then passed on through the secondary market to somebody else. Then there's the concept, and this is very very exciting, and we have some new projects we're working on here, is this concept of a digital twin, where anything can be turned into a easily tradable asset, whether it's what Block Bar did with these high-end liquor bottles, or it's something we might be doing with Sotheby's around really high-value art. But instead of trading these illiquid goods through typical e-commerce means, now you can turn any illiquid good or high-value, high-end good into a digital twin and be able to trade that and not worry about logistics of delivery and storage. And you can still actively trade those while it is securely stored with the brand. Now, you can imagine one of our favorite examples is the sneaker market. The sneaker market is huge, and what we see happening is the creators of the sneaker brands are able to sell their shoes, and they have a great community. But then all the secondary activity goes away. It goes to other platforms, and it results in a lot of change of hands of physical goods when all of that can be managed through the digital twin use case. And one of my favorite ones is a project that we worked on with the Milwaukee Bucks. So for the playoffs, for the kickoffs, they granted 250 VIP memberships to their most engaged fans. And this was an airdrop, and so they were able to claim these free airdrops. So a lot of these the participants in the membership program are not Web3 native. And that's really very interesting, because this is not for a Web3 native audience necessarily. In the case of the Bucks, most of the audience, this was the first time they probably dealt with an NFT, the first time they had a wallet, the first time that they even engaged in anything around Web3. And then because of the seamless experience, they were able to take this NFT membership, gain access to unlock discounts, access to VIP experiences, and it was overall a really well-received membership program by the community. And we're going to see this grow into more and more, unlocks for the members, and also increasing the number of members. So all is this to say that NFTs are the future of brand engagement, and many brands have figured this out. They're testing the waters, they're experimenting, they're having fun. Their communities are having fun, and so it's been a really joyous exercise to be participating in some of these projects as we continue down this path. But getting to the future is hard. So in one of the previous slides, we saw the hundreds of brands that are getting in, and I would say those are the innovators and the early adopters. But there's a chasm. Getting over that hump from a technology adoption lifecycle perspective can be hard. Most enterprises have legacy technology to deal with, compliance to deal with. The real world starts to get in, and adopting some of these newer technologies can be hard. And there, ta-da, is Web 2.5. So what is Web 2.5? It really is the first step for brands entering Web 3. So how do we bridge this chasm for our brands and our clients? And so there's some basic tenets of Web 2.5. It has to be seamless. The end user should not have to worry about gas fees. They shouldn't have to worry about buying something with crypto. If you've tried to go on a typical Web3 platform, e-com platform now to purchase an NFT, the experience can be quite daunting. From going to an exchange to purchasing ETH, to downloading a wallet, saving your seed phrase, making sure you're connecting the wallet, purchasing the NFT, and then dealing with custody of the NFT. The entire experience can be quite daunting, and it is not as simple as buying your favorite pair of sneakers, but it should be. So no gas fees, payment with credit cards, ability to log in with emails or wallets, anything that makes it easy for the end consumer to get in without having to think about all of the technical terms and conditions that they have to now learn before they get into Web3. That, coupled with the authentic Web3 digital goods, the benefits of which we discussed, which is provenance, ability to know exactly who owns it, having that unique factor. This is what will give rise to the Web 2.5 benefits, which is verifiable ownership, liquidity and tradability, composability, and mainly shared upside value, which is what gives this whole thing meaning. So, in the end, buying your NFT should be as easy as buying your favorite pair of sneakers. And for the investors in this space, there's massive opportunity in this space for brands and creators and devs, whether it's the infrastructure of semi-custodial wallets, which is something that Mojito partakes in, or seamless payments, managing royalties, licensing, white labeling stores or secondary markets. So here, brands can create their own branded websites so that they can keep their communities within their ecosystems. Gone are the days where getting into the NFT space means having that initial transaction with your consumer and then seeing them go away and get engaged through other means. Brands have the ability to continually engage their already engaged fans in new and novel ways and keep them in their ecosystem. We also have seen that there's an opportunity for companies, even ourselves, to provide white glove services to brands as they're trying to navigate the challenges of legal and compliance. At the end of the day, it's blockchain, it's crypto. There definitely are compliance stipulations to be kept in mind, and we see a lot of our time spent doing that. And finally, the opportunity exists in easy-to-use APIs. So, taking a page off of my previous jobs, I think that nothing beats a good API, a good developer experience, and there's so much upside to be had here with good developer experience. So again, massive opportunity here for brands and companies building in this space right now, which is why we're here. So to end on a good note, Web 2.5 is basically the path to Web 3 adoption, and brands hold all of that community, all of the IP assets, and they have that level of engagement and fandom with their consumers that really very few industries have. So one brand, one NFT, one consumer at a time. This is how we'll see the path to Web 3. This will unlock the new internet. So before I leave, I just wanted to give you a little bit more about Mojito. We're building at Mojito, and so we're all about building the community and engagement stack and the commerce stack around Web 3. We work with a lot of iconic brands in sports, culture, and community. And so we are building a robust infrastructure to help brands bring their vision to life. And we work with them throughout that process, from inception to providing the entire technology to providing ongoing commerce activities. Last year, we generated about 100 million in NFT sales, and we're so excited to be working with brands to continue on this pathway. So if you ever want to reach us, it's mojito.xyz, and I'm Raakhee Miller. Lovely to meet with you today, and hopefully this was an interesting insight into brands and Web 2.5.
Thank you, Raakhee. That was a great presentation on NFTs. So if you guys haven't looked into NFTs to build a part of your brand, definitely recommend it. And check out Mojito. If you just want to stay back in the comments to see if there's any questions for you, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.